I've been able to pick up quite a few of the Lifebrick Breaking Bad minifigures with these 2 packs here. I also have Hector, but today we'll be taking a look at another version of Gus, with one version by Bad Guys and another, again, by Lifebrick, as I already described, with the sort of explosion face effects. So it's a perfect time to look at these 2 versions and compare these two. For the more civilian Gus in the yellow shirt by Bad Guys, it has the kind of fun case, just the minifigure as well as the extra head. Nice little drawing of the faces. For this card, I got 9 out of 60. And just the name of the character at the bottom there. Nothing can be on the back since it's kind of transparent. So that's a little bit of a neat, different style of package. For Lifebrick, it'll be like the ones that I already reviewed, where it is saran wrap to keep it sealed when you get it at first. So it can hurt a little bit when you open it for the first time. Obviously, there's the outer packaging with kind of the plaid suit design from the character. A little bit of burn marks and different flesh colors for that. Name of the character to get around copyright, but I think one of the most interesting parts of this is the Lifebrick logo using the Breaking Bad style on the front. So I do kind of like the sleeve design, but I don't really need it, I guess. Getting past the exterior packaging, you got the actual plastic case with a card with the render of Gus, Breaking Bad logo, and then the copyright-free name. It's a nice sturdy plastic case. You got an extra bit of foam securing the minifigure on the inside. And you just have the minifigure. No extra accessories for this one, but nicely secured. Let's check out both of these. And we'll start with the Bad Guys one since it's a little more simple. I'm noticing the clutch on these studs is a little bit looser, so I'm not sure why that would be. But I'm surprised by some of the qualities of this. The downsides of this one is obviously going to be that it is an older minifigure, so you're going to run into issues with lack of color representation at the time. So I don't know the exact year that this came out, but I would guess in the last 5 years or more probably. So you got the one shade of Lego yellow and reddish brown, missing some of the variations in that. So obviously it's going to pale in comparison to the one by Lifebrick, which, they have similar amounts of detail. Obviously this one has no accessories, so not going to be able to compare it there, but it really is just like the tie and like pocket detailing on both of these. I feel like the pants are pretty similar. This one has a little bit more detail on the belt though, but both of these have pretty much wraparound leg printing with the shoes on the inside. Still creases on the inside of the leg as well, so commendable for the time. And you can see on the Lifebrick one, I guess kind of less detail since it doesn't have like the print all the way up the leg. The shading on this one I guess could be a little bit since it's just like a big darker splotch on the front of the torso, but a little bit of creasing on the arms looks fine. And I guess for the Lifebrick one, it also had the little bit of inner sleeve cuff print. So a little bit of different stuff there. Nothing on the back of the head. No hairpiece for this, since I guess maybe the fin one didn't exist at the time, which would have probably been the one to use for this. One complaint with the Lifebrick one is that the hair was pretty loose, but I'll just toss it onto this one quick. And I just don't love the likeness on this either, I guess, where I feel like the face is just like a little too wide. But the gold for the glasses looks fine. There's like some darker gray for different wrinkles on the face, in addition to like the black for the eyebrows. I guess it kind of portrays like the more smiley look on him pretty well. A little bit of teeth action there too, though, but you can kind of see what the difference is here. And again, just because of the colors, this will be a little less accurate, so this will be second place to the one here, but I did want to check this out since it does have the second head, which is a version of the character that I haven't had in my display yet. And after putting it on, it definitely has an interesting level of detail with the different pinks kind of at the top there mixed with the red, some teeth showing, or I guess jawbone showing on the side there, but there's just some awkward spacing where the eye is and where the other eye should be, where I just don't think it scales very well with the Lego figure head here. Eyebrow seems to be kind of in the same spot as the other head, and I'll just stack them to kind of line up where things are going on here in both versions. Looks like maybe eyebrows are a little bit different, where these are a little bit wider. This one's a little bit thinner, but eye placement seems kind of the same there and should be kind of there. So I guess, it kind of lines up where it should be. Again, the mouths are just like a little wide, and I just feel like overall the proportions on the faces are a little bit But it is nice to have the 2 different face options, and I think for the time, there's pretty much this version in Citizen Brick for Gus's, and the Citizen Brick one was in a $500 Lego set or whatever, so pretty hard to get that one. If this is all you can track down, I feel like it is a pretty good version. and is everything you want to have Gus in your collection, at least in some way. Onto the Lifebrick one, and this is where I'm getting disappointed right away. It's a dark blue torso, and as I was just taking a look at it a little bit, rotating it around, I did notice that one of the sides of the torso is cracked. Right there, you can see it. So that's really unfortunate since this is right out of the sealed package. And I've had this in my collection for a bit, and I bought it secondhand, so I don't even think I could get a replacement. At least it's on the side of the torso, but I just have to be a little more careful with this since I feel like the arms are also a little stiffer on this to begin with. But that's just really a bummer to see on an expensive figure. The printing is really nice on this though, with the different plaid design. Again, like on the packaging, there's like a little bit of burn marks here and there, and it's kind of fun to kind of pull the thing from the show, where if you look at him just from this side, it seems very normal, and then he turns, and you have all this really nice red on the other half of the head, and a little bit on the arms with like the darker blue pattern to make it seem like it does have blood on it. So that's kind of a nice little transition. And I do think the face print here reminds me a lot of like Halloween style like makeup, so I feel like it is done pretty accurately with some bone here and there. A little bit on the hand too, which is a nice little bit of extra detailing with some bone showing. And again, I think the gradient on the torso and arm is just really interesting and cool, where there is like just the little bit of blue, reddish, purple color all over the place. And I just think that looks really cool. Hopefully it's coming across on camera as well as it is in person, but that's kind of neat. This was also sold as an undamaged version, which I did have in the collection at one point. When I bought these, I got all three of them together, got rid of the normal one, since this was the variant of the character that I wanted the most anyway, since it is more unique and different. And I think the other one came with like a shot or whatever to euthanize Hector, so there was an extra accessory to this one, but it has the special hairpiece here, which is modified from the one that was on the other Life figures, where you can see just a little bit of like the sideburn is shaved off. Otherwise, it feels like the texture is pretty similar between both of these. And the profile seems the same, but I believe this one is a little bit more on the head, which could be helped by the extra printing, adding some thickness to the head on the rest of the side of the head. Really happy with this. I guess as seeing he didn't have his glasses on potentially, so you have the unglassed look, so I guess you could use this for like a Moff Gideon, but you can see right there, facial expressions are going to be pretty similar, lines in the face is going to be pretty similar, but no direct reuse. And this is just a really good design for a suit anyway. If I did keep the other one, it would have been a nice little piece. The legs are going to be just black with some shoe printing going around those. So nothing too crazy. Some more gray for the shoes on the inside of the legs, going to be wrapped all the way around. Again, Lifebrick typically does that. I think I already showed it on the inside of the arms too. A little bit more of the plaid printing. So, they do not cut any corners. Or is it there? I'll have to look in person. Huh, that's interesting. There is no printing on the inside of the arms. So that's surprising to see. Like I said, I feel like Lifebrick typically does that, and to see nothing here is a little strange. And I would really like to see the side of the torso clearly without the arms, but I do not want to take off the arms again. If the torso is already cracked, that is a really bad idea, obviously. But it looks like there is like a little bit of extra damage on the side of the torso here at the top, which would match like that little bit of purple on the sleeve. Again, on the back there a little bit too. And it seems like for the most part this is undamaged on this side. Like I already said, like the scene he turns and reveals that. So yeah, that looks good. I'm trying to figure out, they must have remolded this completely where it feels like there's some flat spots on the top there instead of it just being printed on. So that's kind of neat. Like I feel like it's flatter right there where the skull is showing. And hopefully this doesn't like demonetize me or get age restricted, but again, I think that is like a really cool effect for a small plastic toy, and obviously going to be done a little bit better between the two there. You can see it just a little more realistic, a little more cartoony, but still fits the Lego aesthetic. Let's throw the hairpiece onto this one, I guess. I think that still definitely works. Obviously it'll be the wrong body, but a little bit of extra gap there where there's nothing, but looking at it from the front, I feel like that looks pretty good. Obviously, you just need to toss on the other torso if you really wanted to, but you know, some good options here. Just wanted to show them off together. Let's go to some comparisons and the final verdict. The Lifebrick actor likenesses are always really amazing and lifelike, like one would say. Just looking like a more Lego cartoony take from Citizen Brick to, again, the Lifebrick one is just night and day. Gonna see that all across the board. You know, Jaka does a pretty good job as well, but this the life in these minifigures really makes them stand out when you get to something that's a little bit older, maybe a little outdated. Just again, unbeatable for the price. You know, it's a little more expensive, but the value is definitely going to be there. Uh, in the case of this minifigure today with the crack in the side of the torso, that really stings. Again, it's on the side of the torso, so not going to be as awful, but I've had this for a while, probably won't be able to get a replacement, which is, you know, a big bummer, but I don't know if this is one of those characters I'd let go anyway. But just thinking about also like the Stan Lee minifigure I have, I am always just a big fan of what they make. I don't have a ton of their figures just because they, you know, make a lot of stuff that I'm not 100% interested in, especially with like MCU stuff. Not going to pick up every single figure, but when I do get something from them, top notch, especially when you put it next to another character from the same series, even from a different company, you know, it could be a little bit more simple. I feel like they have a pretty consistent design philosophy with a lot of other companies and brands that make them fit pretty seamlessly, and that is one of the biggest priorities for me in my collection. But let me know, what do you think of the Bad Boys one here for it being a little bit older? You know, it's still pretty decent. I don't know what the original cost was since I got this for free from somebody at some point, but having it next to this one here, you can see that they're not incomparable and they're not completely like S tier versus whatever tier. I feel like they are pretty equal footing, other than, you know, new colors existing, custom hairpiece, which, you know, custom hairpieces weren't always the case for customs since, you know, injection molding, you know, was a little bit more expensive and a little bit more rare. So I can kind of give it a pass here. I guess if you threw a Finn from, you know, Star Wars hairpiece when that was originally used onto this, it could be pretty decent too, but where it's at right now, definitely going to prefer the Lifebrick one, obviously, but again, not the worst option and still pretty good. I would definitely say this is better than the Grandpa Clone Customs one, which I really don't like, but no comparison, obviously, with the heads here. I think the overall effect of this one works pretty well and is another good addition to the Breaking Bad collection. If you want to see more custom Lego Breaking Bad or custom Lego videos overall, check out all the content on my channel. If you want to help out even further, feel free to join as a member for some more perks. Like always, I've been Brick Radiop, and I'll see you in the next video.